Good morning and welcome to the Board of Commissioners weekly meeting, December 11th, 2013. Welcome to the public and those of you that are viewing it on Ed's program. Our chairman is somewhere between here and Europe and will be home tomorrow, I believe. So I'll be filling in for the day. I'm Commissioner Babson. Commissioner Kenney and I will probably not vote on anything today, but we have plenty to discuss. So why don't we begin with public input? Are there any public input? Mr. Brown?
Nope. Oh, actually.
Wow, I thought I was lucky there for a minute.
What did the final budget number come out to? Do you have it?
Yes, I do. If you give me a second, I'll find it for you.
And if you would, you may not have them now, but if you have any other spare copies of that?
They're available in the office downstairs, Steve.
All right.
It is. Now, this is the commissioner's budget that was
Right.
submitted to
The
Concord.
delegation.
Submitted to Concord, and we'll go to the delegation on the meeting Monday. The final budget for the commissioners is $28,286,516. And that should be that's about $500,000 more than last year's adopted budget. And that $500,000 is quickly taken up by the Bureau of an Elderly and Adult Services. Their increase is $200,000. And the sheriff is in for $300,000 for a new radio system for the county. And by the way, excuse me, that amount does not take in any wages except the proposed 40-cent increase for the non-union workers. So we have wages yet to add to it and all the categories that go with it, Social Security, medical, whatever.
Okay, on top of it. Was it last year like 27.3?
No, it was
27.5?
it was just about $500,000 less than that, Steve. Wait a minute, I got it right here.
28. They would have put it at 27, say 8. I thought it was less than that last year.
It was $27,729.
Well, it went up a little bit after, because I recall 27.3 to 27.5, but
It was $27,729. Is there any other public input? Okay, hearing none, then we'll move to last week's minutes.
2 weeks ago.
We won't accept them, we won't approve them, but we will make Asher and I can Commissioner Kenney and I can make our corrections now, so we won't forget. And then when David comes back next week, we can take them up again and get his input, and then we'll approve them. So,
The minutes are from 2 weeks ago. You mentioned last week.
yes, excuse me, November 27th.
Do you have any corrections?
Yes, I do. Page 2, well, it's actually the third paragraph, but looks like the fourth one. Commissioner Sorensen, second assistant Commissioner Sorensen said the commission should be supporting Mr. DeWitt's forward planning. I believe it was I that said that, not Mr. Sorensen.
And I don't even know where you're reading it. Where, is it like half of the page, or?
No,
Where are
third
you?
paragraph down. Begins with Commissioner Babson moved.
Oh, okay. And what was the correction?
It was I that suggested that we put the money in for Will's planning, not Commissioner Sorensen.
Commissioner Babson moved that the commissioners add 20,000 to the capital reserve fund.
Yeah, and then when it gets down,
Your
it
name
says
is
Commissioner Sorensen said that the commissioners should be supporting.
So it is your name, Babson.
The next correction is the top of page 3. Commissioner Kenney then said the HR budget had been increased by $100,000 in part because of excessive raise given to the HR generalist. The total budget in that line item is only up $4,000, which was the increase that we plan to give Mrs. Newland to go on salary. I don't know whether Ms. Hamilton misunderstood Commissioner Kenney or Commissioner Kenney misspoke. I have neither one, but anyway, it's not $100,000, it's up to $4,000.
Are you done with the corrections?
No?
I'd like to make a comment on what you just corrected.
Okay.
$4,000 increase for the assistant, but the salary was also not $60,000 because the negotiated salary was $53,000 to start with. So it is more increase. It is more than $4,000 increase. And any more corrections?
Last year's budget, Commissioner Kenney, was $95,750,000. This year's budget is $99,543. It's up slightly more than $4,000.
Yeah, there's probably maybe some money taken out. I don't know, to pay maybe someone, but I just talking about the negotiated salary. That was my comment towards.
Well, then you didn't mean that it was increased by $100,000.
No, I didn't say that. I say that the total budget of the HR was $100,000 for 2 salaries.
Okay, well, that's what I thought. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs down. Commissioner Sorensen reported that currently the budget is up 1.7% from last year before. I think that we should, just to keep the record straight, Michelle put in over last year's approved budget instead of rather than last year. On page 5, second paragraph, third paragraph, Commissioner Kenney said that last year the stamp was used without authority on a regular basis.
Which number are you? Which page?
Page 5, third paragraph. Commissioner Sorensen stated that when his stamp was used by the ladies downstairs, that it was authorized.
So you want that sentence added?
Yes, please.
Commissioner Babson, you were not here last year. I came to the office and I know what I saw. Every time if the commissioners left and I was the only one, I signed the checks, they say they will stamp the other one.
I understand that, but he had given them permission to use the stamp. And that was what was said in the meeting last week.
I don't know if he said,
When he comes back next week, you can argue with him about that. Do you have any corrections, Commissioner?
yes, I want to add something. Let me see, page 3, about the sheriff. He was talking about $30,000 for the deputies. He also mentioned that he didn't say it was a salary for one person, it was for two persons, but he also said he doesn't know, or one is not making $50,000 because it is one salary position and it are two people, but it is not $15,000 each. It is how many hours one person works. I'd like to add that. That was the sheriff's statement.
Okay, so what do you want it to say?
That he said it is not $15,000 each deputy, but it is how many hours they work. That is how much they get paid. And I believe it was $18 an hour. I have to check up on that. I thought that he
Okay,
said
so
$18
the
an hour.
correction is that
I just wanna
that it's
add-
not evenly divided between two
Yes,
people.
I just
Okay.
want to add it, what he said. This is how many hours each work. So any other corrections?
Not for me.
So
We'll
we
we'll
go
hold
into
off till
proof it.
next week and
So we
David
basically going to table it. We're going to table
yeah,
the
table
minutes.
it till next week, and then we'll, when Commissioner Chairman Sorensen has the opportunity to put his input in, we'll take it then. Howie should be showing up here momentarily. Why don't we next do reports?
Yeah, I have a question about the agenda. I see you put in work session, but I don't see any items. So I don't know what the board is working on. There's nothing on there, what we're going to discuss. And my other question is Jason Johnson, non-public, and then a work session. Why is he before that? I mean, we have public here, and why
Yeah.
is he not at the end? Why are we not having at the end non-public? Because now you let a public wait at least 45 minutes before the work session starts again.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Kenney, I don't understand what your question is.
I said 9:15 we have non-public, and then at 10 o'clock we have work session. Why
Right.
are you not doing the other way? That we have first a work session, and then at the end the non-public?
Well,
Because you let a public wait like 45 minutes at least, and I don't know if it is longer. You put in 45 minutes for the non-public. And my other question is, there are no items for the work session.
okay, well, we put it in each week so that if things come up, we can discuss them.
I understand that, but I also requested months ago if there are items put on, because normally a work session are items what the board are working on. The board works, for example, on the old nursing home, what we're going to do with it, what we're going to remove, or what we're going to add.
Okay, we'll make note of that. And, the other part of it is, makes sense, when they set this up, Jason was here, so we figured we'd do a non-public session. But Howie's here. Howie, you want to, I come up, I did remember what the other thing was finally.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. What was that? Good morning,
The
Commissioner.
sheriff would like to use this room next Wednesday for some training. And we wanted to know if we could use the big room over at the nursing home.
Next Wednesday, there's
Would
nothing
you
that
let
comes
us
to
know?
mind. Do you want the big room or the side room?
Well, with the amount of people that come here, we could use a telephone booth probably.
Well, but one way or the other, we will accommodate you, so next Wednesday morning. Because next
So I'll put
Monday
down-
morning, I believe the delegation is coming in for
Yes,
breakfast.
there's a breakfast on,
So-
Cooperative Extension is putting it on. So we'll put okay for the 18th somewhere in that building?
The 18th is fine, we will host.
Okay.
So it's gonna be at a nursing home?
What I have for you is just three little updates and one point of decision. I'm glad to be able to report that last Friday, we awarded our first ever Mountain View Community Heartfelt Recognition to Doris Stout, a long-term volunteer in activities, not volunteer, staff member in activities. And it was very well received and couldn't be better deserved. And so Doris received that, and it is not a scheduled recognition, it's a recognition of special people at special times. So it's not an employee of the month, but it ended up going over very well.
And who was it, Doris?
Doris Stout.
Doubt?
Stout, S-T-O-U-T. Wonderful gal and very deserving of that.
And how long has she been volunteering?
Oh, she's not a volunteer, she's a staff member.
Oh,
That was
I thought
my,
you said she-
no, I did say that, I misspoke, no, but but even as a staff member, she's almost constantly volunteering. She does so much stuff on her own time, bringing in things, buying things, and doing things for residents and staff. I mean, you can't find somebody more long-standing and dedicated than Doris, so. And there'll be additional publicity, and with your permission, would like to bring her over some Wednesday morning. She works another job on Wednesday mornings, otherwise we would have started the process actually with the commissioners. But she has this other job that she doesn't want to take time away from, so. But there'll be at some time when we'll be able to get her over here.
Well, please bring her in, and you know, the more publicity we can give the people that do outstanding work for us, the better off the
And we'll be getting this,
County.
and this will be getting in the paper too, which is good.
Doris Stout.
The other thing, another person that we can thank is Wayne McBride, who donated the tree for the front of Mountain View that we now have lit at night. So Wayne found that it was easier to donate one of the trees that he had on his property than it was to try to find. Apparently, we're not exactly Christmas tree rich on our 800 acres here, so.
No.
But being a man of action, he knew where there was one, and he cut it and brought it, and it's made a big difference. So it's the last thing people see when they're leaving from visiting, and the first thing they see when they enter, and it just kind of gets us in the Christmas spirit, the holiday spirit, a little bit better. Also, a wonderful report. The Friends of Mountain View on this past Saturday night hosted a harp concert, and there were 11 harps, along with a guitar, a flautist, or actually a tin whistle player, and a percussionist, who came and put on a wonderful concert for both outsiders who came and paid, because it was a fundraiser, and residents who were there to enjoy. And it was truly magical. Who would ever think that there were 11 harps anywhere to be found and gathered together all at one time, and there were 4 missing. Ordinarily, there are 15.
Where did the group come from?
All over New Hampshire and parts of Massachusetts. These harp players are pretty dedicated people, and so they came from all over. Apparently, there's a core group of them that do play regularly in Concord, and I think that's where Chip actually made the connection. But they brought in the full harp orchestra and did a wonderful job. It was very magical production, so it worked out very well.
Did it have a Christmas theme to it, or?
Much of it did, but it also had, and here's something that I guess I should have known, I never associated harp music with Irish music. So that it wasn't just your classical music, it was some very upbeat and current Irish music too. So it was a great variety of music that was well appreciated by everybody. So it worked out very nice. And a big crowd. It was a good crowd, good turnout that night.
Well, Howie, one of the things, I didn't find out about it till about Thursday. Maybe it was someplace that I didn't read about, but the other thing is, if it wasn't Christmas music, you're into the Christmas season and there's all kinds of activities going on, so we might have got a bigger crowd if it were November or some other time.
This is when the Friends wanted to do it.
Oh, okay.
So this was something where you know, as staff, we took a supporting role rather than a directing role. They've actually had this planned, and I think it might have been planned, and I'm making a bit of an assumption here around the availability of the harp orchestra. So it could well have been that was the determining factor. But there was something that the Friends did on their own, and I know in talking to Chip, I think they're thinking that it would make it for a great annual event. But I do agree. In fact, we're encouraging as many groups as we can to be looking at January and February, because that's when we get into the doldrums and we don't have all the groups coming in. So we do have another group that I'm pleased to announce has contacted us, and that is and I'm not exactly sure I believe it's officially called the Ossipee Rotary Club. I'm not sure if it's I know they meet in West Ossipee.
Yeah.
But they're going to be coming in for St. Patrick's Day. They wanted to do something for us and encourage them to do something after the holidays. And they're going to sponsor a big St. Patrick's Day party that'll bring in music and other things as well. So we steer them that way when we can. Now I have a point of business for you.
I have to continue on the same
Okay.
theme. We talked about letting them know. I guess I forgot what I was going to say, but it'll come back to me before you're done. Go ahead.
Well, we have, you know, as part of the Mount Washington Valley Room, we received monies back from the contractor for work that was essentially defective, and that money's been escrowed. And while we get prices and do work for photovoltaic, not only to essentially make other improvements in that room. What I'm looking to you for as direction is, I've received the architect specifications for the work that needs to be done. Do you want that, and while it's clear the work needs to be bid, my question is, do you need or want it to be advertised, or do you want bids solicited? Or both, of course. But I guess
What are you doing?
This as you're looking at the TV to the left, there's a
Yep.
place where big carts are stored
Yep.
that we don't use. It's to put in a counter space there and a sink. And so make that functional storage and trash and to do that. And apparently it was part of the original design that was cut for cost savings. But with this money, there's enough money to put that back in and keep it in the room. But it's a matter of, you know, we certainly need to bid it, but I didn't know whether it's your practice or requirement that we advertise it in the paper or not, or whether we just solicit multiple bids from qualified contractors.
What is the
Commissioner Kenney?
amount? What is the amount?
I'm expecting that it's gonna be, now, of course, we don't have the bid yet, but I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be over, I'm gonna guess that it's gonna be around $5,000 or $6,000.
And it has to go out for bid.
It has to go out for bid,
Yeah.
no question about that. Because even if it were less, it's still enough work that it should be bid. Do you think we need to advertise it in the paper or just invite multiple bidders? And either way is fine, but,
We advertise it in the paper and we apply, we invite them, the people who apply.
is that your,
I believe it's the same as hers.
Okay.
It goes out for bid.
to advertise bid?
Yes.
Because I know sometimes with some of the contracts that we do, there's no requirement that it has to do it that way. I know sometimes when Norma is getting bids on things, she solicits bids from qualified people. I don't disagree with this, but I just wanted to be sure that I didn't either spend money recklessly for advertising, which I always hate to do, but if it's an expectation, we'll certainly do it that way, and invite in qualified bidders, so that we'll have
Absolutely.
get some good numbers for you.
My concern is that we make sure that we get somebody that does good work. It's gonna be out where it's seen. And we check the references carefully when we get the bids in, or awarded.
Well, it's real important because we make it difficult, and should make it difficult, for people to work inside a place where people are living. So it's not just like it's a construction project, it's something where we have to be sure that the contractor, and have written up these kind of rules of engagements, but how they manage themselves, how they don't, smoke, swear, or, and clean up after themselves. It's a challenging environment to work in. But good contractors don't mind that, because that's what they're gonna do anyways. But we need to be sure that they know ahead of time that they're essentially working in somebody's home. It's not the
Right.
typical commercial type of project.
My senior mind has come back and working again. What I was going to ask you, was that concert taped?
It was not,
Do you have the facilities over there to tape things like that?
only if Ed's willing and able. We haven't even asked him. But it's interesting that you bring that up, because we were talking yesterday at a staff level, how we would like to be able to tape in-service trainings. We weren't thinking particularly about recreation, but it would apply equally, that with a small camera, and I've talked to Ed about this, what we would need for a camera, and what Ed does so well, video is relatively easy. Audio, I give Ed high marks for, because being able to see something and not be able to hear it well is very frustrating. And if we wanted to tape our training sessions or tape our recreation, it'd be wonderful. So it could be that we should be looking toward a video camera and remote microphone would see a lot of use for both training and recording entertainment.
You planning to go to work for Ed next for the pitch
Not
you're
a,
giving him?
not a chance, but I want to butter him up in case we can ever get him to volunteer to record some things, or to maybe give us some instruction on how to use equipment once we have it.
Well, you know, I would think that would be an important piece of equipment for you people to have. You could have taped the concert and put it on that big screen that you have at noon time if somebody wanted to listen to it, or there's got to be training. There's Mr. What's his name's train would have been
It's,
show that raffle. There's things you could put on to entertain the patient, the residents, I would guess, plus all the other uses you have for it.
you're exactly right. I mean, there's no reason why something like that, I have to move myself beyond I take a lot of stills, but
We've noticed.
But what's happening, oh, I know, but what's happening now, that's like old technology, and people are more likely to, we could put something like that on YouTube.
Yep.
And connect up there so that people who couldn't make it could see it the next day from wherever they were. They wouldn't even have to come down to that TV, although we could do it that way too. Well taken.
I would suggest you get together with Ed and talk about what type of equipment we need, and see if we can't work it into the budget, then maybe the Friends could purchase it. You know?
Well, it would see good use, and it wouldn't just be on occasion. So, point well taken.
Anything else?
That's all I have for you.
Well, thank you very much for coming in. Thank you for doing a good job. It was going to be in the work session, and the reports, but you know, I met with Will and Jason and Rob, because there'd been a problem with the quantity and the type of foods that were going out to the inmates that were working in the cold weather back in the firewood bags. And we all got together, and within 3 or 4 days, the first thing I get is 2 or 3 of the inmates come up to me and thank the county for providing them with better food, more food. It worked out very well. It's nice to see them all working together.
And that's the beauty here, you know, there'll always be
Please thank Rob.
misunderstandings, there'll always be things that people don't know, but if good people come together, they're gonna come to resolution. And everybody's been a pleasure to work with, and something like that, I'm glad to see happens without my knowing about it. And that's even better. That's people at the right place in the right time, seeing what needs to be done and taking the right action to do it. And that's great, but I also appreciate your involvement too, because that helps the process too.
Well, I'm not looking for any accolades. It's nice to see
Well,
it gets done, and the kids work. They're putting up roughly 200 bags a day of firewood out there, and I guess we get about $4 a bag for it. So they're working hard, and they should be fed properly and with quality food, and it's going they are, and it's going well.
So we're gonna start a Christmas tree farm?
I don't know. It depends on how many Wayne wants to move from his front yard. But anyway, thank you, Howie, and I just want to point out that happened, and it worked out well.
Well, that's good to hear. Well, thank you, Commissioners.
You're welcome.
Thank
Well, we got 15 minutes till the 2 Jasons get here. You want to do reports? Ash, you got any reports?
I have no report today, but I have a non-public release for non-public, if you want to look at it. Those, I think it was from March 27, it was not sealed also.
Okay, well, we'll get to those when we get to the non-public minutes. Reports, you don't have any?
I have no reports.
Okay, well, I've got a few. And they go back 2 weeks. I guess it was Saturday or Sunday of 2 weeks ago, they had a craft show, a craft sale at the nursing home. And it was very well attended. There were outside vendors and residents who had made things. And the quality of the work was amazing. I don't know how much they made or where the money went, but they certainly took some in, and it was a nice place to do some early Christmas shopping if you were interested. That week also, I attended the Cooperative Extension monthly advisory board meeting, and the message that they wanted passed on was they're still very interested in moving to the county complex, but UNH doesn't have the money to fund any renovations here, so perhaps it's up to us as the commissioners to begin looking for some thinking outside the box. Maybe we could take the money that we pay them for 20 years and get a bond and make the renovations. It's a shame that they're not there. During the Cooperative Extension meeting, we did evaluations on two of the employees, Ann Hamilton, which she wears a banner, Miss Cooperative Extension of Carroll County. She's been here for 100 years and runs this food safety program that's recognized as about the best around the state. And then we did Olivia, who's the new agricultural person and who's done all the research out here on the farm.
What's her last name?
Pardon me?
What's her last name?
I'll have to give it to you later.
Okay.
And Olivia has been very active. The research she's done out here, she's done on tomatoes and I think it was broccoli. She had 2 or 3 evening get-togethers and with vegetable farmers out here. And that went well, and they'd like to expand that. And also last week, there was the Carroll County Coalition of Public Health was held up at CAP, and there were about 50 people there. And what they're trying to do is get all these groups to work together to reduce the cost of medical work on for county residents. Lasted 3 hours. Very interesting. And I guess that was about it for my reports. I don't see anything else other than the meeting with Rob and Will. I also went over to meet the new captain of at the House of Corrections, who will be coming in with Jason in a few minutes. But I guess that's it for the reports. Anything else? Asher, you don't have any?
No.
Okay, well, that's it for reports. What is the non-public minutes you want to do?
Do you have any non-public minutes
Yes.
for us? How many sets do you have?
6.
The one that you redacted, did you give it to,
Yeah, those are going back.
yeah, you
Yeah.
gave it back? Okay.
Yeah.
And, what do you want to do with this, Commissioner?
This needs to be released. I already redact, you said you wanted to have the names out and certain statements are out, you want the redactions,
Well,
so I redact them.
I would prefer to wait till the chairman gets back and the three of us vote on it.
You don't have to, it can just be released.
Pardon me?
You don't have to wait, if somebody is absent, you don't have to wait for that.
Well, that's my choice as chairman, I'm
two-
gonna wait till next
Two
week.
commissioners can take
No,
actions.
I'm gonna wait till next week. Well, another thing, the work session is at 10, but one of the things we were gonna bring up was the ambulance contract for the jail. We have to sign it, Commissioner Kennedy. When Ossipee changed ambulance suppliers, or whatever they call them, what they do, they left the area and left us without the ones that Ossipee let out of the contract, left the area, so we had to get a new ambulance supply provider for services here at the county complex. We got the new quote from the new vendor, and the prices were substantially higher than what we had been paying. And so I had 2 or 3 conversations with him and see what we could do about coming in with a price. He gave us the original contract, and I negotiated it down to a lower price. He wanted $465 per emergency transport, when we'll be now paying $227.31. And that's for emergency, that's for non-emergency. The new price on the emergency is substantially lower than he quoted us, but $15 more than we were paying the other vendor. Commissioner Kennedy, we need to sign this because
Can I read it first?
you certainly may. The first bill we got was for, since we hadn't signed the contract, was for $1,300 for one trip, but
$1,300 for one trip?
we were able to, as soon as we sign this, we'll get credited to the contract amount.
So where was the trip? The trip was from here to Huggins?
Yes.
Wow.
But it'll go from $1,300 down to $300 when you get credit after we sign the contract. Oh, excuse me, Commissioner, that's the old one, that's his first quote, here's the one we have to sign.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Right. So we're going with the same company, eh?
No, it's a different company.
But here it's at
No, the
Campus.
first one is his original quote,
Oh, okay.
and the second one is the renegotiated quote.
Okay, I got it now.
Bid.
Are we waiting now for Jason?
Pardon me?
Are we waiting for Jason now?
Yes, I would think so.
Someone want to call him, maybe?
He's on his way.
You know,
Oh,
you know,
he's on
you
his
know
way?
he's
Okay.
here.
The ambulance, is that here in Ossipee? They stay here in Ossipee? Do they have the
This
company
one?
here?
I-
Where
I
are they
can't-
coming from?
I don't know.
Because it said they are from North
I
Conway.
assume,
but they from-
I think they're here in, their main office is in, outside of Manchester, but they have the North Conway contract, and I believe they have taken over the place that pulled out. I think they took theirs over, but I'm not sure of that. You can check that out. The number's there on the contract.
Commissioner Babson, did you say the price was $15 higher or lower than the old price?
Price is $15 higher than the old price, but substantially lower than what he quoted us. And the reason the price was so high on the one bill was because he's instructed his employees, if they don't have a contract, to give them the going rate. So we will get credited when the contract's signed.
He'll be here in a minute, he's just gonna grab Jason, so he'll be here in a second.
Ed, what's a reasonable amount of money for a medium range setup like yours that would go over to the nursing, be used at the nursing home?
You spend as little as $150.
Yeah, but that's for the little one, right?
But they're pretty good.
Are they?
Yes, you have, if you spend the money on the tripod and the sound equipment, it'll be very good for you.
So if we got a little tripod a little better than yours, is that the idea?
Yeah. Well, that's $1,000 tripod.
But it isn't working, you've got your camera on the desk. But seriously, is the quality of those newer, smaller ones good enough to do?
Absolutely. For the application of YouTube, yes. There's no reason to spend a lot of money
Is that right?
on it. It's the sound that you're going to spend your money on.
Would you be willing to help them when looking around for what they need?
For me, it's usually a scheduling problem. Covering as many meetings as I do, trying to find time to do anything extra is becoming very difficult. Because every meeting is becoming more comprehensive, the coverage
Right.
and the analysis of it, so it takes a lot of time.
Okay?
So I read here for emergency transport, it's going to be $434.24. And for non-emergency transport, it's going to be $227.31. But they also say they will add $7.09 per mile. So you're basically coming up to $378. So it's a small difference only, basically the same amount.
No, there's a large difference between his original quote. The original quote was $8 or $9 a mile and substantially more for the pickup. Is Jason on the way?
See this one? That is the old one. It is a little less because the emergency transport was $465 and the non-emergency was $361. You could have done your work session for all the time you were waiting.
Where are they?
They're coming up right now. They just pulled in.
Good morning.
Morning.
Punctuality is next to godliness.
What's that, Commissioner?
Punctuality is next to godliness.
Yes. I apologize for being late.
Morning.
Morning, Jason.
Commissioner, you take that over,
Thank you.
Commissioner Babson. There's 3 there, 1 for Commissioner Sorensen when he comes back.
Okay.
Thank you.
First, I guess, although you have each met Captain Henry, I'd like to formally introduce him to the board, give him the opportunity to kind of speak to his background a little bit. So, Captain Henry.
Morning.
Morning, Jason. Would you, how about telling, well, we know, but telling the viewers of Ed's website a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing?
What I've been doing, let's see, grew up in Whitefield, New Hampshire, basically. Started out my career going to Plymouth State University. Started out in the law enforcement field as a full-time police officer. And then I moved on there after I left and taught for about 7 years. Spent time as a vice principal, interim principal. Then after I left there, taught for a couple more years, and I wound up myself in the Merrimack County Department of Corrections for the past 10 years, where I've learned to enjoy corrections. Moved my way up to shift commander over there, and I got involved in the programs department when it first opened on Merrimack County Department of Corrections. Been involved in a lot of things over there, a lot of different trainings and those sorts of things to lead myself up to where I'm at here today.
Well, we welcome you, and I hope we have a good working relationship, and that we continue to have a pretty good House of Corrections system here.
Good. I look forward to it.
And your last name is Henry, for those that didn't get it on the tape.
Yes.
Do you
Yeah.
have any questions, Commissioner?
I know, I just want to say welcome. We have 2 Jasons now.
This morning's in-house population, we had 48. We have 7 out on electronic monitoring. We have 7 out on transfer status, 1 weekender. We took in 15 offenders. Repeaters were 9, and 9 were released. Total population of 63. A copy of the population report for you as well.
Jason, have you moved forward with the new legislation that passed and put anybody out on, bracelets of 7, that's up substantially. Are those ones that you've requested and put out, and the court said okay?
Yes, sir. Actually, tomorrow morning, we have one of our offenders that's going to be released. He was transitioned out onto electronic monitoring for the past several weeks, and he's been successful, and he'll actually be released from time served tomorrow. We do have 2 other offenders that we've recently put out under that, and would look to expand it as well.
You make the recommendation and the court okays it, is that correct?
Correct.
And when you make the recommendation, do you write a report, or do you go over and see the judge yourself in person, or how's that work?
I write a report. I took a template from the New Hampshire State Prison. They have a what they call a judge's letter. So based on that template, we actually kind of borrowed that form, and we generated our own. We outlined not only the offender's name, the charges, their sentence, the programs that they've completed, their disciplinary history within the department, and then basically submit a narrative as to why we feel that the administrative home confinement program would be beneficial to both the county and the offender.
And so you say you have 7 out?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And how many of those 7 are ones that you've recommended be released?
3.
3.
Mm-hmm.
How did the other 4 get out?
The other 4 were court ordered.
I mean, at sentencing time, they tell them to go out? I thought they had to
Yes.
serve here 30 days before they could go out on a bracelet.
The statute reads they have to first serve it at a minimum of 14.
14
Mm-hmm.
days. So the court orders them 14 days and then says, okay, after that, you're on a bracelet?
Correct. And it gives us the opportunity to do the research, make sure that they're employed, check their residence, network with the local law enforcement agency, and then put their offender out.
And
go
these
through the
aren't,
classification process.
people that come back here at night, they're at a home confinement.
Yes.
And who checks that?
Our staff, for example, Sergeant Phillips and Sergeant Duguay just recently went out and checked all the offenders. Captain Henry and myself were out checking offenders one day last week. We specifically just went to one individual, and then we had to recall that person into the facility for an issue. He was corrected, and then he's back out.
Okay.
But typically, Sergeant Phillips, and Sergeant Duguay, or Sergeant Baker will be out checking them.
How often do you check them?
It's sporadic.
Well, I hope it's random.
It's random, yeah. Try to get out at least once a month to check on them. And then we get a report on a daily basis as to their activity, the monitor, and then if there's any issues that we need to address, then we'll quickly check them.
That's with a bracelet reporting back, and then it's a computer-generated report. You're not actually seeing people on them. Is that correct?
We get
I mean,
a,
the bracelet says where they are,
correct,
and that's how you track them when you're not doing it in person.
correct. Mhm.
Do you have any reporting done by the employer?
We'll talk with the employer. Sure, Sergeant Phillips will talk with the employer.
But that's still only once a month.
Or again, if there's any issues that come up.
Do you have to okay the employer?
Yes, we'll check it out, make sure it's a valid employer.
Do you check the employer's history?
No, we don't go back. In regards to employer's history, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, just hypothetically, let's say he might have been a visitor over here too for a couple of years, or a year. Gone out and started a business and then says, oh, well, I'll hire him, I knew him when I was down here.
Okay, I understand that. We haven't had that situation happen
Hasn't
yet.
come up?
No.
Okay, good. Well, thank you very much.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about on the agenda today was the two things that I have before you in regards to the telephone system and the offender management system. Based on the requests that I've received, I strongly recommend that we go with ICS Solutions. ICS Solutions provides telephone service to the New Hampshire State Prison, and they also provide telephone service to Grafton County Department of Corrections. With that, we would receive the Zerker jail management system. Went up to Grafton County, looked at that, and we strongly would encourage the county to select them. Just the way that the system flows, the ease of use, I think it would be the best system out of the proposals that we've received.
How many proposals did you receive?
2.
And what's the other company?
The telephone company was Securus, and they partner with Arconics.
So this is their response? This is Securus response?
Securus, and then the other packet is ICS Solutions.
And that's the one you're recommending?
Yes, sir.
Why do you think, we've got these kids locked up, for the most part, they're kids. They don't have any money. Why do you think that we should be making a 25% commission on their phone calls?
It's a revenue source for the county to help offset the operations of the facility. Money is applied to, goes back into the general fund.
That's true.
The telephone calls are made up on the collect calls, eh? That is what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I guess you know my feeling, Jason, because we discussed this over in your office.
Mm-hmm.
The rate that they charge just to hook up, to talk to make the outside call, well, I won't tell you what I think it is, but it's just, I have a problem with it. These kids are in prison and are in jail, and we're trying to correct them, and to be charging them a $3 or $4 hookup charge just to make a local call is wrong, as far as I'm concerned. But I'll take this under consideration when David gets back. The three of us can take a look at it. You don't need a decision right away, do you? I know you'd like one soon. David will be back tomorrow.
Okay. If we can have it resolved by next week, because right now, the current vendor, our contract has expired, and we're working on a month-to-month
And
contract.
He's raised the rates for that month-to-month contract, has he not, or is he holding the
He's
old
holding,
prices?
they're holding them with their,
Could you send over the breakdown of the charges for the calls for these two companies?
Sure.
The hookup and the minute per,
Mhm.
pennies per minute?
Sure.
Or like dollars per minute?
In regards to, in regards to that, both, I'll certainly supply both, but both of them are not raising any of the current rates. They're
They're
going
not
to,
what?
they're not raising any of the current rates, so what we're paying now, they're not going to raise any rates. So I will certainly provide that, but they're not doing any rate
Okay,
increases.
well, I think it should be attached so that,
Mhm.
so
Absolutely.
that it's on here, what these people are paying to make an outside call.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And if I'm wrong, maybe I am, that's the charge to hook up, and then it's a collect call too, is it not?
Correct.
So we're charging them $3 or $4 or $5 to hook up, and then somebody else is paying for their phone call. I mean, to me, Jason, it's outrageous.
I don't think I think the international charges are that high, the local charges and the interstate
Was like
charges.
$2 or $3.
Yeah, it's not quite that high,
That's
but.
just a hookup for a collect call.
Mhm.
And usually on the outside, we'll collect call, the person on the other end pays it, not the individual, and you have their money in their account, so you take it out when the bill comes, isn't that correct?
Actually, the bill goes to the party that sets up the collect call system, and then based off that, that's how we get our revenue.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I also, you done with this?
Yes.
I also, we talked to Howie this morning about how the food situation in the wood splitting facility has worked out.
Mhm.
And it's, everybody seems quite happy, and it's nice to see everybody working together. I know the kids out there were very happy with what they got. Will and Joe are happy, and Mark. Apparently you people are happy, so
Mhm.
that's worked out well.
I was reading an article in my recent ACA magazine, and I talked with Rob on Monday, I believe it was. We're going to look at an initiative to look at the entire menu plan, and there was a program that was initiated out in Indiana Department of Corrections where they were able to provide a healthier alternative for the offenders and not have a substantial impact, or actually any impact, to the meal costs. We've scheduled a meeting to go up to Grafton County to see their food service operation. We're going up, I want to say it's either January 7th or 9th. So we're going to go up and see, and Rob wants to see how they do business up in Grafton with respect to their food service.
Rob's going up with you?
Yes, sir. Because that's going
What were
to,
they, when we were in there, it looked to me like they were just serving regular food. I mean, we didn't see any milkshakes or anything else.
well, I think they do different things. I got an email from Superintendent Libby. One of the things that they did was, of course, with the amount of produce that they produce up there, they did some different things with, like, made, I want to say, cucumber juice, and they've done just different things as a healthy alternative for their offenders up there. So that's kind of going to dovetail into our farming operation to see what we can grow here and help reduce our food costs from going outside. So it's kind of like it's an initiative to start a bigger project, if you will.
Okay. They're not serving them the juice from those horrible-looking tomatoes that the Cooperative Extension showed us that were raised up there in Mr. Libby's facility, I think.
I don't know.
I hope he watches the tape. Anything else?
Not at this time, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. I do have a procedural question here. When we get a non-public session, does Jason too sit in here on these, or is it requested for you? Do you both stay?
He can.
Okay,
He can, absolutely.
all right, fine, that's good.
I do have one issue that I'd like to bring up in a non-public session, deals with personnel.
Okay. Well, then, Commissioner Kenney, you want to make a motion to go into non-public session?
Yes, so moved.
I'll second it. And we will go in a non-public session for, or under RSA 91A3, paragraph 2A and B. Can you take a roll call, please, Michelle?
Commissioner Kenney?
Yes.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes. Public session, the board voted to seal the minutes and to return to public session at 10:07. Jason requested to stay a moment longer because he wanted to make an announcement of the event at the House of Corrections.
The only other thing I forgot to mention in our public session is this coming Saturday, we have the graduation for the Thinking for a Change program. This will be the third graduation that we've done this year. It's going to be at the facility at 1 o'clock. The offenders have been in a program for the last 12 weeks, learning various life skills to help them when they return to society. Again, it's been based off of evidence-based practices. It was developed through the National Institute of Corrections. Sergeant Phillips has been instrumental in teaching the program, and then we'll continue to work and develop this through next year as well.
I am correct, am I not, that of the young men that have graduated from the previous two programs, we still have a perfect record, none of them have come back?
Out of that, we've only had one come in on a violation of probation. It was a technical.
But he's back out.
He's still with us. It was a technical violation. He didn't commit a new crime. It was a administrative rule that violated his probation, which is why he's back with us.
So he didn't get a spanking and get sent back out. He's still over across the street.
He's in the facility right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yes. Yep.
Isn't like the drug court where they say, okay, go back in jail for a couple of weeks and then
Correct.
figure out what you're doing.
Mhm.
Your pal.
Not yet. I'll do that later. Yep.
So it's 1 o'clock on Saturday.
Yes.
And how many are there going to graduate?
I think we have 6 in the program right now.
6? Do you know how many started?
We haven't
Was it
lost
6?
anybody. We haven't
So in
lost
3 graduations, we've lost 1, is that correct?
one as far as completing the program and coming back into the facility, yes.
No, starting the program and not completing the program. It's either just 1 or 2 that Ian has had to throw out of the program. I know it's at
One.
least 1.
One, I believe, yeah.
That's pretty good. It's a pretty good record. And I hope we can continue along the lines of not getting them back here.
Mhm.
And my project is doing very well so far,
Good.
knock on wood. Hope it
Outstanding.
continues. And thank you for coming in. Anything else?
No, Commissioners. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you for coming over. Well, we hope it doesn't last that long. We have one more item on the work session, but we also have a phone call at 10:15 with Kathy Facade about setting the tax rate at Hale's location. The last matter was, last week, Commissioner Kenney, you, in your discussion of the human resource generalist, reviewing the tapes, you made the comment that she was, didn't have the background and, or the education, or was getting too much money. And you told us that in her letter to you, to us, thanking her for the interview for the HR person, that she says that she's, even says in there that she's not qualified for the job. Well, here is a copy of the letter that you told us we should read, and I will take a 5-minute recess.
Which letter are you talking? Let me see.
You told us to read the thank you
didn't.
note that she wrote.
I
Yes,
get a card. So how do you have a letter now?
So there's the letter that you said that she wrote and said that she wasn't qualified. I would hope at the end, of when you're through reading that you can point out to me
And it's not,
where it says that.
I was talking about a card that she sent.
A what?
A card. All commissioners receive a card. That is what I was talking about.
You clearly said last week that she didn't have the background, that she didn't have the education, and that she was overpaid, and that she admits it in her thank you note. If you don't believe that, go home and watch the TV. Where does it say in that letter that she's not qualified? I read the last statement, it says, after she says what her history is, she says she believes these jobs make her uniquely qualified.
That is
For
who
the
said
job.
that?
Not-
Who said that?
Not uniquely unqualified.
Who said that? She is saying that? I
That's what it
didn't say
says there,
that.
and you said in this letter that she wrote and said, we've got to stop making accusations with no proof, and here again is another one.
I don't
You
know
see
what
the-
you're talking about, but the proof is there. She came for the interview. She doesn't have the background. She said it in the card. She doesn't have any human resources background. So you need to stop twisting and bending it for this employee. Every time something is brought up about this employee, you always protect that person. I don't know why. And she put it in a thank you note card. We interviewed her also, and you know she doesn't have the background.
You
So I
sat
don't
right
know what
here
you're
and
talking
made the
about.
statement last week, if you go home and watch the video, that she says in her thank you note that she is not
Did
qualified
you
for
get
the
a
job.
card?
Where
Did you
does
get
it
a
say
card?
that in this letter? She filled in-
I didn't get that letter. I don't know what you're talking about. That's new to me.
Well,
if I
here's
said
the letter
letter-
you told,
if I said
snippily told
letter-
us to read last week.
Excuse me, if I said letter that I was mistaken, it's a card. She sent a thank you note card, and she said, although I don't have the background in human resources, she admitted herself in the card.
Okay.
So check the card. And you interview her, you know she doesn't have the background.
I'm just repeating what you said.
She doesn't have the background, and that's the truth. So
Okay.
what is the issue?
The issue is your constant running down of employees. We have
That is
excellent
not,
employees.
that is not true.
And not,
We had
and
a
not
good
providing
human-
it. So far, I was here 6 weeks, you called me irresponsible and negligent, wrote a letter to the paper. The Miss Lee fiasco, you called me, you said my minutes were full of lies and exaggerations, and you had the proof downstairs. We haven't seen that yet.
Proof of
You
what?
published on your webpage a letter from Ralph DeRosa that you know his facts are based on things that aren't true, and you put it in there. You constantly come in here. You've run down John Rich from everything from being a liar and a cheat and then what else. You just have to stop.
That is pure nonsense.
Okay,
And the
I'm
letter is
nonsense.
true and the facts are
I'm
there.
sick and-
That is precisely what happened. And if you remember John Rich, you know how he got the contract. You know how he got the contract. He should never get the contract.
Thank you. Is there any other business for today? Any public input? With that, I will adjourn this meeting of November 11th, Commissioners' weekly meeting.
You need to do your phone call too.
And excuse me, no, we won't adjourn because we have to call now. And you know, the only thing I don't have is Kathy's number. Yes, I do, 447-6038. Too many numbers in one?
No, they don't push. 6038?
6038.
Oh, 38.
none like Mr. Johnson, we will be right
Are
on
you
time.
sure it's 447?
447, I talked to her yesterday.
Do you have to dial anything special to get out of this phone? We're trying to call. Yeah. Yep. And you'll transfer it up here and then I'll put it on the speaker. Okay. Okay, thanks.
Delegation.
It won't dial out.
So how are we gonna make the call?
Kathy's gonna call her and send it up here.
We've got to set the tax rate as a selectman for Hale's location. DRA requires that towns, in this case, keep 10 to 17% of their annual budget, which would be 17% would be $60,583. The tax rate up there in 2013 was $4.69 per thousand. 2012, it was $4.55 per thousand. Kathy has recommended three choices. If we take from the surplus that they have and put 25,000 of it into the budget to reduce the budget, it would make their rate 4.357. If we put in 50,000, it would make it 4.024. And if we put in 75,000, it would make it $3.59.
Hi, is this Kathy? Okay, thank you. Hi, Kathy. Hello, I'm going to put you on speakers, and you are present at the commissioners meeting. Thank you. You're
Good
still
morning,
there?
Kathy.
Yes, I'm here.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Fine, thank you. I just read the numbers here that you gave me the other day. The only thing I didn't say that you're, I think I'm correct. Your balance or surplus is how much?
$178,822.
Okay, that's what I had, but I made my dollar sign look like an 8, and I knew it was wrong. So 178.82, and 17% if you kept it would be 60,600 roughly. You're recommending that we do go put 50K to reduce from the surplus to reduce the tax rate to $4.02.024. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, I think that's, a fair amount. Where Hale's location, if there's another student added in, you might need some of that surplus to supplement. So it's always good to keep maybe a little bit more than the 17% for Hale's location, just because they do have the ability to have to use that if they do get some extra students in there.
And what is this student, a high school student or an elementary school?
A high school student is over $30,000 for Hale's location.
Oh, I know that. I'm saying you said you had one new one. There was a new one in elementary school or a...
I don't even have the numbers. I have no idea. As far as I know, the same as last year. So that was 2 elementary, 1 junior high, and 2 high school, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to know?
No.
Ashley, Commissioner Kenney, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Well, I'll make a motion then that we take $50,000 from surplus in Hale's location and use it to reduce taxes.
Second.
Commissioner Kenney seconds it. Any more discussion? I guess we better have a roll call for this.
Commissioner Kenney?
Yes.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes? Do you need any more from us, Kathy?
No, I will create the warrant and I will email it down to Kathy if I could just have your signatures before you leave today so I can send out the tax bills for Hale's location.
You better get writing quick.
I will do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh. Are you here for public input, Mr. Seaman? Well, before we close the meeting, we'll have public input.
Put that phone off.
Oh, thank you, Stephen. Good idea. Thank you.
Do we know that it's hung up?
Yeah, I think it would be if you wanted to pick up the
There
receiver.
it is.
Can you get the dial tone if you're
Well,
hanging?
no, I was waiting for the numbers to
Okay.
go away.
Melissa?
Not sure if I've missed it, but have you made any decision on Spyglass? Or what's happening with that?
No,
Nothing yet, it's still,
no. Still up in the air.
it's pending, okay. I filed a right to know request, asking for the copy of the investigation report into the jail escape that happened in December of 2011, and, I'm sorry, 2012, or 11, I don't know when it was. But I received a response to my right to know request, and it was denied for security reasons, but I was assured also that any related matters had been taken care of.
Yep.
So I'm just having some trouble accepting that the report is denied if all security matters have been taken care of. So how would it be a security issue now?
I think the feeling of this board was that the investigation took in a wider scope, and you were really interested in the escape, and the things that happened as a result of the escape have been fixed, and we felt that it was a security issue, and that was the way it was going to stay.
So I guess I would like to request a listing or the part of the report that deals with the corrective measures that have been taken.
Well, I can tell you, we changed one of the wire gates, and we put more razor wire on the roof. Is that sufficient, or do you want it in writing?
No, I don't need it in writing, thank you. A couple of weeks ago, Ann Ayton was in, and she had put raises for her staff in the budget, but it was denied by the commission, and Commissioner Sorensen said that everyone would be getting 40 cents because what the union gets, everyone else gets. Does that just apply sometimes or all the time? Because a while back, the jail union negotiated an addendum to their contract for bigger raises, and that wasn't carried over to the administration at the jail. So I'm just trying to figure out when it applies and when it doesn't.
Can I plead a honeymoon? I wasn't here when that all happened. I don't know. I know that since I've been here, the LNAs have gotten a raise because they were below this, way below the average around here, and the union went along with it. Other than that, I can't comment on it. Commissioner Kenney's been here for 2.5 years, 3 years, so she probably can.
What was your question again?
It just seems that I guess this is a comment, it just seems that that's not true. When Commissioner Sorensen says what the union gets, everybody gets, that's not the case. So it would seem there would be room for increasing certain departments, like when Ann asked for increased money for her staff, how is that different than the LNA is asking for more money?
I know
Or
all.
the corrections officers.
Well, I know, since I'm here, what they're trying to do. They're trying to mimic what the union is doing, that we give it to the non-union. But I don't know on every item if they get that. I don't know, but that is what we're trying to do.
It's very confusing and difficult to follow when blanket statements are made, so you would expect that if everyone always gets what the union gets, but then you find out that's not always the case for everyone. So it's just very difficult to follow the discussions through the budget and understand how we pick and choose who gets the raise. But,
Well, in this budget, I can speak to it because I've been working on it. The non-union people will get the 40 cents. Now, there are cases, that case you're referring to at the jail, I only know from sitting in the public and listening that that was done for almost the same reason, or for the same reason, as far as I know, and that's just from listening, as the LNAs, to get them up to a more competitive wage. This year, in our budget, it's 40 cents for all non-union employees. That's what, and of course, it's up to the delegation to okay it, but that's what we've got worked into our budget.
Earlier this year, there was about $2,000, maybe a little more than $2,000 paid out to jail staff to compensate them for overtime that had been miscalculated. And I had brought forward a question about whether that was going to be done for all employees at the complex. Do you know if that's happening or if that's happened?
That was, I thought you had gotten your answer. The answer was the program that we have for the other people in the same situation, the software, I've been told, worked that differential or whatever the problem was, so that those people were paid. And if you check with Kathy Gary, I think that's what she'll tell you.
Okay. And lastly, can you tell me the name of the firm and the contract price for that firm that's conducting the investigation into the complaints filed by the former captain at the jail?
Can we
And
what?
if that's still under investigation?
What is on our investigation?
The former captain filed complaints against the commissioners, and the commissioners have contracted with someone to conduct that investigation. So I'm looking for the name of the company that's doing the investigation and what the price is that we'll be paying for that. And if it's still under investigation.
I believe that's public knowledge. What do you do, Commissioner?
It is.
Huh?
It is,
It is public knowledge.
yes.
Okay, we both agree. It's Pignatelli and Roth, and it was a maximum of $6,000.
And is that investigation still open, or has that been settled?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Well, one thing that I forgot to add was yesterday I spent, I don't know, an hour and a half calling references for, help me, what's the name of the storage outfit? Dockstar, there, well, PIF, who was there. I guess they're franchisee in this area. And I called Belknap, I called Meredith, I think I called 5 places. And talked to them about it, and they seem to be doing a very good job. The one thread that was common through all the comments was they have excellent service and backup. It's something that we've got to start thinking about. It was Belknap, I believe, that said that, no, it was Del Gilbert Block that had hired them, and they were able to get rid of 11 4-drawer file cabinets in order and free up all that space, and she said that it was absolutely simple. You put the documents in the scanner and off they go. And I think we should continue to press forward on looking at electronic storage. We also have to find out whether that will, if the law is changed this year, Tom Buco's law that he's putting in for me, whether that will count for, instead of a safe, back in the Wells Fargo days and keeping records. So, I hope the other two will continue with me, and we look forward. I think we ought to find out who DocStar's competitors are and have them come in and make a presentation. And then at some point, it's in the budget, as long as the IT committee gives the okay, then we ought to move forward with it. I guess that's about it for today. Anything else?
Nope.
Want to make a motion to adjourn?
Yep. Second, 10:34.
Pardon me?
Second at 10:34.
Nobody made the motion. I said, would you like to make the motion?
Oh, I thought you said you made the motion to adjourn. Oh, yeah, I make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded?
10:34.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, all opposed? So we're adjourned.